they feel like, oh, well, this situation will get better. They'll get better. But what happens when they
Right.
don't get better? What do you do
Right.
then? You continue to suffer?
Yeah.
Or do you go, snip, snip, motherfucker? Like, what do you do?
Surprise, motherfucker.
Welcome back. We're your host, Savannah.
And Kaylin.
Today, we're going to talk about cutting people out of your life for self-care. It's kind of a tough subject because I feel like a lot of people aren't willing to do that, and they feel like it is a temporary band-aid type of solution.
Right.
But it really can make a difference with your mental health, trust me.
Yeah, and I feel like we've talked about, self-confidence,
Mhm.
self-esteem, self-love,
Yeah.
setting boundaries. And this
Mhm.
is a huge step that people avoid in life.
Exactly. Because I think the biggest thing is, a lot of people are afraid to end a relationship, whether it's with a friend, a family member, um, because they feel like, oh, well, this situation will get better. They'll get better. But what happens when they
Right.
don't get better? What do you do
Right.
then? You continue to suffer?
Yeah.
Or do you go, snip, snip, motherfucker? Like, what do you do?
Surprise, motherfucker.
So,
Yeah. It's
honestly, in my opinion, before doing something so drastic as just cutting someone out of your life or going no contact,
yeah.
you should at least try to communicate with them about the problems that you have with them. And
Agreed.
if it still doesn't work and you're still not getting through to them,
Then
then
you did all you could.
exactly,
There's gonna be
exactly.
no looking back and thinking, "Did I just take the easy road out? Did I not
Yeah.
actually try?
And
Is there any more I
honestly,
could have done?"
coming from personal experience without getting too personal, no
Mhm.
contact is not the easy route.
Mm-mm.
Like,
Mm-mm.
in the long run for your mental health, it's the healthiest thing you could do, and it can be easier for certain people in certain situations. However, the
Yeah.
repercussions of it afterwards, because as someone who has done that a few times in my life, you constantly struggle with, these guilty thoughts and, feelings
Yeah.
of guilt, and you start to blame yourself, and you start to look back
Yes.
on the memories with, rose-tinted glasses,
Yeah.
and you
Your
remember
brain
the good
tricks you
times. Mhm, mhm.
because of the love you had or have. You can
Yeah,
still love someone even though you cut them out of your life. You can still have
absolutely.
love for someone?
Yeah, definitely,
So,
but just because you have love for someone and just because they're family or a friend does not mean that you can put up with them treating you
no.
disrespectfully or
And,
crossing your boundaries.
with a lot of with my experience of cutting people out of my life,
Mhm.
it hasn't sometimes it has been because they did me wrong or,
Yeah.
you know, um, but sometimes it's because you naturally just don't align anymore. You're
Yeah.
naturally not on the same path. You
Mhm.
don't click about the same things,
Yeah.
and those that I feel like is harder
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it's like you miss that person, you miss the times you
Mhm.
had. They didn't do anything specifically to, make you hate them,
Yeah.
so it's hard to let go, you
Which
know?
I'll give a little personal example for that one.
Yeah,
So, I had a childhood, best friend, and, she was in the cult with me, and she's actually the whole reason that I found out that it was a cult because of her. And we've,
yeah,
we our parents separated us when we were friends at, 16 or 17. Eventually, we found our way back to each other, became best friends again. I ended it, we became best friends again. So it was kinda like a cycle with
yeah,
us, right? Like, every few years, we would end it and then get close again, end it and close again.
right.
And this recent time around, I don't know, there was just something I felt like I felt like we were just, hanging on for our past. Like, because all we would talk about when we
Yeah,
were together was, like, the cult and people from the cult and getting over the cult, and there came a point to where I was just, like, sick of talking about
there's
it.
no growth.
She
Yeah.
reminded me of it too much, you know what I mean? Like, she
Yeah,
reminded me of that part of my life too much, and I felt like I
yeah,
couldn't fully let go because she wasn't fully letting go. And I will admit, at the time, I was very emotionally immature. I had a lot of growing to do, and I didn't know how to handle a lot of things. And I ended up ghosting her, and I really, really regret that. Like, I should have never done
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
take this as a warning. If there's a friend in your life that you're just not vibing with anymore, you feel like it's time to move on from them, don't ghost them. At
No,
least
be open
at
and
least you
honest.
yeah, communicate with them and tell them, like, "I have so much love for you, and I will be there for you in a crisis if you
Yeah,
need me. However, I just feel like this friendship isn't serving me anymore. I feel like we're
yeah,
drifting apart." You know?
yeah,
And I know that's a hard conversation to have. That's the
yeah.
whole reason I ghosted her is because I didn't know how to have that conversation. And if I could turn back time, I would have done it differently, and I wish I could apologize to her, but I changed my phone number, so it's like one of those
I
things,
know.
you know? But
Yeah, I recently been struggling kind of because I'm not gonna name names or get too specific,
yeah,
but I had a really close friend and we were kind of like childhood friends, like you said, like,
yeah,
you know, from like 14 and up, something like
yeah,
that.
right.
We were friends for a decent amount of time. We were really close. And up until 4 or 5 years, like 4 years
Mhm,
ago, we were pretty close still.
yeah,
And we just naturally drifted apart.
mhm,
And there was never any closure there. We just both
mhm,
stopped reaching out.
yeah,
And it makes me feel guilty because I'm like, I don't know if it ended because I wasn't
right,
present.
yeah,
But obviously, I know it works both ways. But I
mhm,
look at certain situations where I didn't necessarily reach out to invite her to things that might
mhm,
have hurt her.
yeah,
And now I still see posts on Facebook from family and, like, she just became a mom, and I'm
mm,
so fucking happy for her, but, like,
yeah,
I have to let go of Facebook and let go of watching from the sidelines because it's
yeah,
so fucking painful. Because
yeah,
it's like you miss that person so much, but at the same time, it's, like, way too late to
yeah, yeah,
rekindle anything because 'cause you're just so different. Like,
yeah,
I'm so different than I was a year ago.
yeah,
I'm
same,
literally, like, a completely different person, let alone 3 or 4 years ago.
right,
And
right,
I'm sure she is too, and I wish the best for her. You know,
yeah,
I'm so fucking happy for her. I have no ill feelings towards her. I still have
yeah,
so much love for her, but it's really hard because it's like it's just not having the closure there
yeah,
really sucks,
definitely.
you know?
And it's also just the guilt of especially when you do know that you did something wrong in that relationship or
Yeah.
in the communication aspect of it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really easy to just, like, dwell on that a lot and, like, tear into yourself about it. I know I
Yeah.
do that all the time. I think about my friend and I'm like, "Dang," you know, because I recently found out that she had a baby, and I'm so happy for her,
So we're
like,
both, like, kinda in the same
so
boat there.
yeah, but it's like, damn, you know, it just sucks. I wish it could have been a little different, and I wish I could have given
Yeah.
her another chance, but I feel like sometimes when friendships end naturally, it's meant to be that way,
Yeah.
and
I try to remember that.
you can have different people and different friends in your life in different phases of your life,
Yeah.
and not all of them are gonna stick on for the ride, and that's just life, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
some of them are gonna drop
It's
off
so
along the way,
true.
but you needed them in that moment of
And
your
I'll
life.
forever be grateful
Yeah,
for it,
same
you
here.
know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
And now I wanna talk a little bit about family. And you
yes,
know
that's important with this topic.
I'm not gonna get into a lot of
We're not
details
gonna
with
name
this. No.
names, but that
But
tends to be the hardest when people can't let
yeah,
go.
yeah. I think, for me personally, because 'cause I've had to do it a few times, the hardest
Same here.
part yeah, the hardest part are people's judgmental attitudes afterwards. Like, people, either other family members, friends, strangers, whoever, them just not understanding the circumstances and being like,
Yes.
"But it's yours, blah, blah, blah. But it's your uncle, but it's your cousin, but it's your whatever."
Right.
And they just don't get it. And I do notice, without trying to sound offensive by any means, I do notice a lot of them are older.
Yeah.
And I think
Different
it's harder,
values.
different values, different time that they lived in, and it's harder for them to understand, like, just because you're family doesn't mean you need to have a relationship.
Yeah.
Just because it's the family that you were born into. And one thing I realized is that whenever I communicated my boundaries over and over and over in both situations, and they were not reciprocated or listened to or respected,
Yeah.
that's when I was like, I'm sorry, but I need to do this for me. And I need to at least take a temporary break, you
Yeah.
know? And I feel like there's
Reevaluate things.
circumstances, there's a few different things you can do. You can, go no contact, which is straight up just cutting them off out of your life forever, pretty much. And the problem with no contact is when you do that, you need to stick to it. You cannot break
Yeah.
that because if you break it in a certain amount of time, it's so easy to go back to it. And that also includes like,
Especially when
sorry,
you're
go ahead.
dealing with a narcissist.
Yeah,
Like, especially.
especially. Yeah. It's very, very important. And also, I feel like when it comes to oh my god, my mind went blank for a second there. Hang on.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, no, no,
It
you're
was
good,
my
you're
bad.
good. Wait, what was I saying? Do you have anything on that real quick?
Um, when it comes to family, you have to remember that you pick your own family.
Mhm.
And that is so important
Yeah.
because, like you said, there's this huge stigma behind, oh, just because they're this, you have to put up with
Mhm.
this. And it's like, no. And luckily, like, I was always raised, if someone does not treat you well, if someone does not benefit your life, don't be afraid to cut them out of your life.
Yeah. Mhm.
So having that support helps, but there's also times when you have family members that haven't necessarily done you wrong. Like, I have a family member, and I'm not going to call names or anything, but she's just doing very bad in life and
Mhm.
going down a dark path and addiction, things like
Yeah.
that. And
Mhm.
it's extremely hard when it comes to that because I'm a very
Mhm.
empathetic person, and it's
Yeah.
like I want to be there, especially when this person has shown me nothing but love, but
Mhm.
then you see, like, the other side of them that's, like,
Yeah.
clearly not their true selves, but
Yeah.
it's like you never know if their true selves are ever gonna be back again. So,
Exactly.
it's just specifically hard because you don't wanna let go, you wanna be that person that's there for them, but there's only so much that you can do, you
Yeah,
know?
and on top of that, like, hopefully, I mean, they have other people in their life that are able to do that, that are maybe closer in age or closer to them in general or
Yeah,
whatever. I don't know what family member this is, so this is all just
yeah.
speculation. But, I mean, it can't all be on one person, it can't all be on you. You can't be
No,
like,
definitely
"Oh,
not.
well, if they don't have anyone, then that's my fault."
Right.
It's not your fault. You're not the one
Exactly,
that chose the addiction, you know? You're not the one that chose
exactly.
that path, they chose that path.
Mhm, mhm.
So, you can't be I feel like it's such a big theme with cutting people out is just, like, don't feel guilty. Like,
Yeah,
the shame is, like, too much sometimes, and you have to realize, like, you are doing this for you, and you're
yeah,
doing this to protect yourself, to protect your mental health, to protect your future family, you know? Like, for
exactly,
me, when we start a family one day, it's like I'm
exactly.
trying to protect that kid too, you
Yeah,
know? So it's like there's so many factors that go into it, but if you feel the need to actually cut someone out of your life permanently,
yeah.
you're probably not in the wrong here, and you probably are at a place where you have to do it to,
And
like,
then you
heal.
said, when you cut people out, you can either
Mhm.
do it cold turkey, but do you have any other suggestions for people
Yes.
that probably can't handle that?
That's exactly what I forgot I was gonna say, yes. So that you have no contact, which is extreme of the extreme,
Yeah.
which I would say is like a last worst case scenario. And then you have something called gray rock. And
Never heard of
gray
that.
rock is basically where you have this toxic person in your life. you need to maintain a relationship with them for whatever reason, whether you live with them, whether you are financially dependent on them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it's basically putting a shield over yourself to protect yourself. So you keep your communication with them very shallow and very surface level. You don't let them into your life. You don't tell them anything about your personal life, about your goals, about your plans, your finances, nothing.
Emotions.
Right, emotions. Basically, it's like talking to a stranger.
Yeah.
And I know that's difficult to do, but if you don't have the choice to go no contact and they are just dragging you down emotionally, that's what you
Yeah.
gotta do to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people, a lot of these toxic people, they are looking for ammo to attack you. They are
Yeah.
looking for any kind of
So
shit
true.
to bring up and use against you. So the last thing you wanna do is talk to them and give them ammo to use against you in the future.
Right, or anything to use it as an excuse of why they're acting the way they are. Like, to
Exactly.
gaslight and victim blame and shit, like
Yes, exactly. So, gray rock is, the other option, but it can be really difficult,
Yeah,
to keep that boundary put up.
yeah.
I feel like it's definitely easier, like, let's say you live in different states than
Oh,
the
yeah.
toxic person in your life, that might be easier, you know? You only have to see them for
Yeah.
holidays, you only call them up every once in a while, you know? But, yeah, I feel like those are the 2 main things that you can do.
Also,
But
cutting
in
out social media during that time would be
Yeah.
super helpful.
That's why I'm off social media, and I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm going back on it, honestly.
Honestly,
Like
I'm probably gonna be making the change too, and
yeah,
just besides our, podcast account,
yeah.
which I can
Mhm.
use if I get bored and I wanna scroll, but it doesn't have personal people on it that I have to
Right,
look at, you know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
also,
'Cause
I
the last
have
thing sorry,
sorry,
I
go
just wanna
ahead.
say real quick, the last
Yeah.
thing that you wanna do when you cut someone off or go no contact with them is get to see all the wonderful little things that they're doing on social media, their
Right,
pictures, their activities, who they're hanging out with, what they're saying about their
right,
life. You don't want any of that shit, so cut it
right.
out.
Um, Another helpful tool,
Mhm.
I am a firm believer in affirmations.
Yes. Mhm.
So I have prepared a few today.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say them as if I'm saying them for myself,
Mhm.
and I'm plan on making a clip out of this. So if you ever want to go back, we'll make sure to add a timestamp here. And if
Mhm.
you want to say these affirmations, you can say them with me. And I will put the words on the screen for anyone that wants to say them. So,
Okay.
whenever you say these affirmations, it's important that you try to relax, take a few deep breaths, really set your intentions. When you say it, you need to believe it.
Mm.
So that's the hard thing. A lot of people will try to do affirmations, but they're not. It's all about the intention behind your words.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
here are the affirmations. They're going to help you cut toxic energy, toxic people, everything like that, anything that no longer serves you. I am grateful for the courage to release toxic connections from my life. I am proud of myself for setting healthy boundaries and sticking to them. I am free from the negativity that once held me back. I am embracing a brighter future without toxic influences. I am happy and at peace with my decision to cut ties with harmful individuals. I am stronger and more resilient without toxic people in my life. I'm creating a space for positive relationships to thrive. I am deserving of love and respect from those who are genuine and caring. I am grateful for the lessons learned from letting go of toxic connections. I am in control of my happiness and well being, and I choose to let go of negativity.
Mm.
I am open to receiving love and support from healthy and uplifting individuals. I am celebrating my liberation from toxic energy and people. And lastly, I am focused on my personal growth and self improvement without distractions.
Well, this is the first time I'm tearing up on the podcast. I knew this would
Oh
be
my
the
god.
episode. I knew this would be
Don't make
it.
me cry.
It's
So,
good. That's good.
and the one I like the most is um really focusing on not only am I doing this thing, but this is
Mhm.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
This is only what I'm going to allow to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyways,
That's good. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to use those. Shit. I feel like and also I feel like when you've gotten no contact, you need those reminders. You
yes,
have to
you
remind
have
yourself
to.
of the why and of what's gonna happen next for you. Because the
Yes,
thing is, as soon
your
as you start
reward.
cutting toxicity out of your life,
Yep.
you will be free and there will be some kind of reward. I'm not saying you're gonna become a
And
billionaire or whatever, but
here's something that no one prepares you for.
mhm,
Your brain is used to fight or flight.
mhm.
You're not just gonna cut the toxicity, fuck, the negativity, all of that shit out of your life, and not go through any struggles with it. Like,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
immediately gonna feel a weight release, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but you're gonna like, for me personally, I struggled with waiting for the bad,
Yes.
constantly being on edge,
Yes.
constantly having horrible anxiety, because
Yeah.
that's what my brain and my body's used to. So it really is a transitional period where you have to not only
Yeah.
cut the negativity, but you have to speak the positivity back
Yeah,
in. It doesn't
definitely,
just
and
fill in on its own.
there's also a little period of time once you cut someone out where you need your body and your brain and everything need time to readjust to life the way it is now. Because you gotta think,
Yes.
especially if this person was a big part of your life before, when you cut them
Yeah.
out, it's like your life changes. Hang on. Excuse me. Okay. But yeah, you pretty much go from like your old life and how it was then to your new life. And it's gonna feel completely different and it is gonna take some
It's
time
gonna feel
to adjust.
empty.
Yeah.
That's
Which
the
is
hardest
why
thing.
it is so important to have a support system around
Yes.
you. I
And I
don't
know
care if
that's
it's one
not
person.
yeah, I know that's not doesn't feel doable for some people. But
Mhm.
even if it's an online support system,
Yes.
like wherever
Yes.
you can get it, you know, there's
Online
always
support
someone out there.
system, which by the way, there is a subreddit and it's called Just No Family. So
Oh,
for
nice. Okay.
anyone who goes no contact with any family members for any kind of reason, it's a great place to get support.
That's
There's also
awesome.
one more subreddit called Mom for a Minute, and it's for
Nice.
people that don't have a relationship with their mom, whether they passed away or cut them off or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's other moms in the group just sending you encouragement. Like let's say
Aw.
you want to tell someone like I graduated, like, you tell them and they're like,
Yeah.
"I'm so proud of you, sweetie, like, you're doing so
Aw,
good."
that's
So, I
awesome.
just wanna share that, it's a great little place to, like, go
Yeah.
for support if
Reddit
you
and
don't.
YouTube and just
Mhm.
social media in general can be a great tool, but like we said before, be careful with that. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
maybe use, like, a throwaway account where you don't have all
Yeah.
your family, so you don't have to see whoever it is you're cutting out or anything like
Yeah.
that, you know?
Another suggestion I have is since you are getting rid of your old life and moving into a new life, once again, blue moon transformation,
Yeah.
another thing you can do is focus on, like, a new hobby or a new, like, goal to work towards to kinda
Yeah.
give this new part of your life, like, new meaning
Keep yourself
and
distracted.
distraction, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's always good to learn something new and try something new anyways.
Yeah.
So, real quick
Mhm.
before we go any further,
Yeah.
I wanted to give some quick signs to look out for that someone may need to be cut out of your life.
Oh, love that.
So, we already
Okay.
talked about what to do, like, when we do, but
Yeah.
how do we know that it's time to do that, basically?
Great.
So, I'm
Yeah.
gonna read some of these off. You feel like you can't be your true self around this person or express your feelings openly due to their reactions towards you. So, for example, let's say I have a
Very
friend or
true.
family member, let's say I got a raise or promotion at work, right? And I'm telling them, oh my God, so and so, I just got a raise at work. I'm so happy. Let's say they come back with something like, oh, good for you. Yeah, well, so next week my job is doing this for me, like
It's like
makes
a
it about them.
competition.
Or
Yeah.
they say something like, "Oh, well, I thought you would be at this position by now."
Yeah, they downplay it.
Exactly. And also just not being able to be your true self around someone, that's huge.
Yeah, they don't
If you
deserve to
feel
be in your
like
life if you can't be you.
Yeah, exactly. The next sign is you feel stagnant around this person and like the relationship has no fulfilling purpose. Just like you and I talked about with past friendships, it started to feel like
Yeah.
that. Like there was
Yeah.
no reason we're friends. Like why are we keeping this relationship up? It's
Right.
weird, you
It was
know?
just the history keeping us together, basically.
Exactly. You feel like you're the worst version of yourself around this person and like they trigger all of your negative qualities, which
Yeah.
this one specifically is so important because I'm
Yes.
not going to name any names, but I have a relationship in my life, right? I had one where every time I spent time with them or spoke with them, I was just dragged down. I was
Yeah.
depressed for a week after. I would cry. I wasn't sure about my goals or my relationships with other
Or
people.
even if it comes to anger or frustration, like,
Which, speaking of that same person, back in my past when we were closer and everything, I used to yell with them a lot. Like, we would have a lot of arguments, like screaming
wow.
matches, me screaming matches. And
Wow.
they always used to tell me, like, you need anger management, you have anger issues, blah, blah, blah. Ever since I stopped being around them, I don't have any anger issues.
Yeah.
I don't blow up. I don't have screaming matches with my husband. Like, yeah, we have
Right.
disagreements and frustrations, but I
Right.
don't do
That's
any of
normal.
that. I don't blow up. So, and
Yeah.
I had to realize, like, "Oh my god, I don't have anger issues here." It was this
No, it was within
person
that
that hit
relationship.
they hit all of my buttons, and
Yep.
on top of that, they were super negative presence, so all that combined, and of course, it's gonna bring out the worst in you and make you explode.
Yeah.
So that was really, validating. Um,
Yeah.
the next sign is this person has betrayed your trust and continues to do so. Trust is everything in a relationship.
Yes.
Everything.
Any type of relationship.
Romantic, non-romantic, platonic, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This person ignores or disrespects your boundaries.
Huge deal.
Yeah. A lot of people like to downplay their boundaries, but they're important. They're just
And
if
they're
actually
valid.
they yes, and they're valid. They might be just as important as everything else.
Yeah.
Um, this
Yeah,
person
definitely.
this person neglects you and you feel like your needs are not being met. That's
Yeah.
important. Especially I see that especially in a romantic relationship or a parental relationship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But even in friendships, because people like to argue, like, I personally feel that everyone in your life should
Mhm.
benefit you in some type of way.
Yeah,
Now, that sounds superficial, that sounds selfish. I
it's
don't
not.
mean in a materialistic way. Uplift you mentally, uplift you, like,
Mhm.
positive
Yeah.
aspect in your life, support system,
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
If you have nothing to benefit me, then why do I have you around?
Exactly. Exactly. And then the next one is you feel sad or depressed in the company of this person. I feel like that's such a big red flag. If you're around someone and you are just like you feel
Dreading to
down,
be around them.
you don't feel like yourself around them. They're almost like an energy vampire is what I like to
Yeah,
call them. If you feel
yeah,
like that around them, they're probably someone you don't need in your life.
yeah,
And then of course the last one is abuse of any kind.
yeah,
Of any kind. Of
yeah.
course, immediately just no.
Mhm.
No. And I
And
know
I
that
feel
can
like
be a
that
lot harder,
flips
but
so much more in, like, friendships.
yeah,
Because people look for that
definitely.
in their relationship and even their parental relationships, especially,
Mhm.
but with friendships, it's like, "Oh, she's just going through something," or, "Oh,"
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
"No, it's not okay."
Or, "Oh, this is just how so and so is. They're difficult, they're aggressive,
Yeah,
they're
no, that's not
whatever."
okay.
No, that's not you're just making excuses for that person's bad behavior at the end of the day.
Yep,
That gives them no excuse or they went through this, therefore, okay, I went through a lot of painful trauma and shit too my whole fucking life.
and I'm
But I
never an
don't use
asshole.
that as an excuse to treat other people like shit. Like,
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
exactly.
So, I don't know. I feel like we're almost ready to wrap this up, but I just wanted to
Yeah,
say, like, another big thing when you go no contact or cut someone off is rumination, which basically
yes,
means, like, you need to stop mulling over the situation and the person over and over and over in your head. And at
yes,
first, it gets kind of automatic because
right.
you feel guilty, you miss them, you just remember the good memories. You're not sure if you did the right thing by cutting them out, but you
Yeah,
got to replace it with something else. And
Right.
like we said before, like find a new distraction, find a new hobby, spend time with your support system, make sure you're not talking about that person or the situation, cut off
Yeah.
your social media or at least remove them from your social media. I
Yeah.
feel like by doing all those things, it can cut down rumination by a lot.
Yeah. Definitely. I had a great time.
Me too.
It
And I
was
even shed
fun.
some tears. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. It got a little deep, but in the best way possible, you
It was
know?
very therapeutic. And I hope it was
Very.
therapeutic for y'all too.
Yes, same.